Today, we delve into a controversy that sits at the intersection of politics, military justice, and the very foundations of American democracy. This is not just a story about one man, but about the systems and values that shape our nation. The events we're about to explore have sent shockwaves through Washington and beyond, raising urgent questions about loyalty, accountability, and the rule of law. At the heart of this unfolding drama is Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, a figure whose life reads like a modern American epic. Kelly is not only a sitting U.S. senator, but also a retired Navy captain, a decorated combat pilot, and a former NASA astronaut who has inspired millions with his achievements both in the skies and in public service. Now, Kelly's distinguished military service, once a source of pride and credibility, has become the focal point of a high-stakes Pentagon investigation. The Department of Defense is scrutinizing his recent actions, seeking to determine whether they crossed a line that few in his position have ever approached. Throughout his career, Kelly has often spoken about the values instilled in him by his military background: discipline, honor, and a commitment to service. These qualities helped propel him from the cockpit of a fighter jet to the halls of Congress, and have shaped his approach to leadership and policy. Elected as a Democrat in a closely watched race, Kelly quickly became known for his focus on technology, infrastructure, and veterans affairs. He has championed bipartisan solutions, and frequently references his service as a guiding force in his decision-making. But now, the very reputation that made him a symbol of patriotism is under intense scrutiny. The current administration has gone so far as to label his recent actions as potentially treasonous, a charge that carries enormous weight and could have far-reaching consequences for his career and legacy. The Pentagon's investigation, announced in November 2025, has cast a long and uncertain shadow over Kelly's future. The news has gripped the nation, with journalists, lawmakers, and citizens alike debating the implications for civil-military relations and the integrity of our institutions. For many observers, the idea of a sitting senator being investigated by the military is not only unprecedented, but deeply unsettling. It challenges our understanding of the separation of powers and the delicate balance between civilian government and military authority. As we turn our attention to the video that ignited this crisis, keep in mind the man at the center of it all, Mark Kelly. Consider his legacy, the principles he has long claimed to defend, and the difficult questions now facing both him and the country he has served. The controversy that would soon grip the nation began with a seemingly simple video, quietly posted online on November 18, 2025. At first, it appeared to be just another message in the endless stream of political content, but within hours, it was clear this video was different. It quickly spread across social media, news sites, and group chats, igniting heated debates and drawing attention from every corner of the country. The video featured 6 Democratic lawmakers, all of whom had served in the military or national security roles. They addressed their message directly to the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces, bypassing traditional press conferences and instead speaking straight to the camera, as if in a personal conversation with every service member. The effort was spearheaded by Senator Elissa Slotkin, herself a former CIA analyst and Army spouse. She was joined by Senator Mark Kelly, a retired Navy captain and astronaut, along with 4 representatives who brought their own military or intelligence experience to the table. Their combined backgrounds lent the message a weight and credibility that was hard to ignore. In the video, the lawmakers reminded service members of their legal and ethical obligations when it comes to following orders. They emphasized that every member of the military has a duty to uphold the Constitution and to refuse any order that is clearly unlawful, no matter the source. The timing of the video was no accident. It was released during a period of intense national anxiety, as questions swirled about the legality of recent U.S. military actions abroad and growing fears of possible domestic troop deployments. The lawmakers wanted to get ahead of any potential crisis, making sure the rules were clear before lines could be crossed. In recent weeks, these same lawmakers had been vocal in congressional hearings, pressing military and administration officials to explain the legal justifications for a series of controversial U.S. military strikes. Their public questioning had already drawn attention, but the video took their concerns directly to the troops. In their message, they issued a clear warning: service members could soon face orders that test the boundaries of legality. The lawmakers urged caution, reminding troops that loyalty to the Constitution must come before loyalty to any individual or administration. Their intent, they said, was not to sow dissent, but to empower troops with knowledge and confidence. By reinforcing the legal framework that governs military conduct, they hope to prevent confusion and protect both the nation and its service members from the consequences of unlawful actions. But not everyone saw it that way. Critics from across the political spectrum quickly condemned the video, calling it reckless and even dangerous. Some accused the lawmakers of undermining military discipline and encouraging insubordination at a critical moment. What the lawmakers described as a necessary public service, the administration and its allies labeled a direct threat to the chain of command. The video, intended as a warning, had become the center of a political firestorm, one that would have consequences far beyond its original message. The video's core message was clear: U.S. troops have a legal and moral duty to refuse illegal orders. Senator Kelly's line, "Our laws are clear, you can refuse illegal orders," echoed established military doctrine. This principle, rooted in the Uniform Code of Military Justice and international law, is taught to every recruit. The lawmakers insisted they were reaffirming the rule of law, not encouraging mutiny. They emphasized allegiance to the Constitution over any individual. Their message, disciplined obedience, means knowing legal boundaries, not blind compliance. Critics, however, accused them of politicizing the military and undermining the chain of command. The administration argued that such reminders could create fatal hesitation in combat. This clash over interpretation set the stage for a political and legal showdown. The Trump administration's response was immediate and severe. President Trump denounced the lawmakers as traitors, calling their actions seditious behavior punishable by death. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth labeled the group the Seditious Six, accusing them of endangering military readiness. The administration claimed the video incited insubordination and threatened national security. Critics noted that the military itself trained service members to recognize illegal orders. The president's rhetoric blurred the line between dissent and treason, escalating the conflict. This aggressive stance led directly to the Pentagon's formal investigation. The Pentagon's investigation into Senator Kelly relied on a rarely used legal provision. As a retired Navy captain, Kelly remains subject to the Uniform Code of Military Justice. The Pentagon argued that his participation in the video was an attempt to undermine military discipline, citing federal law. Only Kelly, among the six, was targeted because of his retired officer status. Critics saw this as a politically motivated move to single out a high-profile opponent. The legal strategy pushes the boundaries of military law, raising constitutional questions about separation of powers. The idea of court-martialing a senator for speech made as a civilian is unprecedented. This case could set a far-reaching precedent for veterans in public office. Legal and military experts quickly challenged the Pentagon's case. Retired Navy lawyer Charlie Swift called the video a true statement of the law. The duty to disobey illegal orders is a core military principle, not a radical idea. Experts cited the speech or debate clause, which protects lawmakers from prosecution for legislative acts. Prosecuting a retired officer for political speech is historically unprecedented and dangerous. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer accused the administration of weaponizing the Pentagon for political gain. Many saw the investigation as a transparent attempt to silence a political opponent. The consensus: the Pentagon's case was legally weak and constitutionally suspect. The administration's rhetoric had immediate personal consequences. All six lawmakers received credible death threats after being labeled traitors. Senator Kelly responded defiantly, refusing to be intimidated. The lawmakers stood by their message, framing the threats as an assault on free speech and oversight. This episode highlights the dangers of inflammatory language from leaders. The Seditious Six's resolve turned the narrative from alleged sedition to principled resistance. They refused to retract their statements, insisting they had acted to uphold the law. Their stance became a symbol of resistance against executive overreach. The Kelly investigation is part of a broader pattern of the administration using government power against political enemies. The Pentagon and UCMJ have been increasingly used to target opponents with military backgrounds. The case of Representative Eugene Vindman, also targeted by the Pentagon, mirrors Kelly's situation. On the same day, politically charged cases against other Trump critics were dismissed by the courts. This strategy of weaponizing agencies threatens democratic norms and the rule of law. The Kelly case is about more than one senator. It's about whether government power will be used impartially or as a tool for political retribution. The stakes go far beyond a single investigation. The controversy surrounding Senator Kelly is more than just a political dispute. It's a pivotal test for the very foundations of American democracy and the integrity of its military institutions. At its core, this moment challenges the principles that have guided the nation for generations, forcing citizens and leaders alike to confront difficult questions about the balance of power and the responsibilities of those who serve. The situation raises urgent and complex questions about the limits of executive authority, the protection of free speech, and the essential role of civilian oversight over the military. These are not abstract concerns. They strike at the heart of what it means to live in a constitutional democracy, where no one is above the law and every branch of government is held accountable. If lawmakers can be threatened with court-martial or other forms of punishment simply for expressing their views or fulfilling their oversight duties, the very concept of congressional independence is put in jeopardy. The ability of Congress to question, investigate, and challenge the executive branch is a cornerstone of American governance. Undermining this separation of powers not only weakens legislative checks on the executive, but also erodes public trust in the system. When the boundaries between branches blur, the risk of unchecked authority grows, threatening the delicate balance that has preserved American democracy. For the military, the implications are equally profound. Punishing a lawmaker for upholding the legal and ethical duties of service members sends a dangerous message down the chain of command. It suggests that loyalty to individuals may be valued over loyalty to the Constitution and the rule of law. Such actions risk politicizing the armed forces, undermining their nonpartisan role, and deterring service members from questioning or refusing illegal orders. The consequences could be far-reaching, affecting morale, discipline, and the willingness of individuals to speak up when it matters most. Ultimately, this controversy is about the rule of law and the future of dissent in America. Will those who challenge authority be silenced and punished, or will the nation reaffirm its commitment to open debate and constitutional principles? The response of Congress, the courts, and the military in this moment will set a precedent for generations to come. Their actions will reveal whether democratic norms and the separation of powers can withstand the pressures of crisis and controversy. The outcome of this test will not only shape the future of American governance and civil-military relations, but also signal to the world the enduring strength or fragility of American democracy.